What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more StellarBlade gameplay for you. And with the main game set to release within a few days, I figured it'd be a nice time to talk about what I find is the ultimate irony considering all the backlash and drama this game has received from the various gaming journalists, because I think it's ultimately ironic. Now, if you have been living under a rock, which I don't blame you, by the way, because the only thing I don't like about doing a lot of the content creation stuff on YouTube, or anything for that matter, is the fact that I do have to sometimes jump headfirst in some of this stuff and read some of the garbage you see online. So one thing I don't necessarily enjoy, so that's why I always try to get a laugh out of it at least. But if you are living in a rock and just wanted to avoid this altogether, I'll give you a little lesson what's going on. Obviously, since StellarBlade has been announced and it's gotten closer to release date, there has been a huge hit campaign or smear campaign, whatever you want to call it. Basically a campaign fought by the journalists to basically downplay this game in a variety of ways, saying that, it's over sexualized, it's offensive, it's misogynistic. I mean, you name it. These gaming journalists have come up with everything. I mean, I think it was IGN France a few weeks ago that was saying that basically the person who wrote, or one of the directors or creators of the game, basically has never seen or been with a real life woman in his entire life, even though the man is married and actually has his wife working alongside him. Or the gamer, or as I like to call him, the anti-gamer, basically saying it's embarrassing for us to even want to like this game because of how all the fans have treated the game with the non-stop gifts of Eve, but completely ignoring the fact, I like to call pot calls the kettle black, indeed, all the amazingly bad, terrible articles that these same people have written about other things, basically talking about how they want to see bears having sexual relations with other characters, how they want to talk about all different genitals, and how they want to have intercourse with inanimate objects. And I'm just sitting there going like, okay, like, right, but Eve is such a bad, terrible thing, apparently. Or with the recent one with Kotaku basically saying that another game completely unrelated, Hades 2, which is probably going to be a nice, fun game as well, is hotness done right, because StellarBlade is it done wrong. Now, what in the hell is hotness done right? Like, what does that mean? Do you know? Because I don't know what that means. Older gamers, remember 20 years ago? Remember the problems we used to have in games back then? Compare them to the problems now these journalists tell you in our games, and it is like night and day. I feel like I got transported over to the Twilight Zone somewhere down the last few years of my life, because it is amazing how all these things these so-called journalists complain about are things that they would never even be a complaint. I wouldn't even mention them at all until they brought it up in the first place, in terms of like, why is this something we're talking about? But nonetheless, the irony about this whole situation, which I find really funny, is this. But to understand the irony, we have to do a little history lesson. And this was what makes this whole thing so ironic. The story of the whole controversy, I call it BS, but whatever you want to call it, the whole debacle surrounding StellarBlade, however you see it, is not a new story. It's not. And in the last few years, it's a story we've seen played out so many times. It's like watching a rerun, a really convincing rerun, a film you've seen before. It's got a few little differences, but it's basically the same exact thing. Take last year for an example. If you don't remember, there was a game that came out last year that before it came out was basically vilified by all gaming journalists, basically telling you that if you support this game in any way, let alone buy it or play it and stream it, you're part of the problem, and you're the worst, person in the world. You're X, Y, and Z, and all of and above, and you're just the worst of the worst because simply you decide to play a game. What game am I talking about? Well, it's this one, Hogwarts Legacy. Ironically enough, these journalists try to tell you, you couldn't play this game because if you did, you're part of the problem. You're the worst thing ever, and they tried to smear this game, basically having a whole hit campaign. And you want to guess what happened? Well, you probably can guess it before I'll tell you. The game sold extremely well. In fact, I'll dare say it probably sold better than what it was originally going to sell. Not that it wouldn't sell good. I think it was going to sell good regardless, but it sold a lot more than it probably was initially. Who'd have thunked it? Another example a few years back would be the Joker movie. I remember when that movie came out, all the backlash of how this movie is going to cause people to go crazy, and it's very detrimental to your health and mental stability, and you can't watch this, etc., etc. What happened with that movie? It became one of the most profitable movies of all time, selling over $1 billion with hardly any budget. And ironically enough, 2 instances where journalists told you, outside of the game being good or not, reasons why you should not buy because it's not ethical or it offends them because they got feelings softer than Charmin toilet paper, and why it's just very detrimental and just very problematic. And ironically enough, both situations turned out to be the exact opposite of people doing the exact opposite what these journalists told them to do. Who'd have thunk it? Which leads me to my next point. And this is where the ultimate irony comes in. My ultimate point of this whole video. What I find ironic, right, is these journalists. It's why I can't hate any of these journalists. I don't hate any of these journalists I've mentioned, or even the ones I didn't mention. The ones that always write all these hit pieces about these certain games and why they're detrimental to us as gamers, and why they are offending them and why we shouldn't play them. I can't get mad at them. In fact, honestly, we should probably thank them in a way, because here's why. What happened with the Joker movie, and what happened with Hogwarts Legacy, and what also happened with other examples I didn't list personally, is going to happen with this game. I think this game was going to sell solid regardless of any of this backlash they wanted to cause or any of these hit campaigns they want to do. But nonetheless, it's going to sell a lot more now because of this. The irony being is that even though they have tried to smear this game and degrade it, attack the developers, attack you, the players, etc., etc., and basically try to get it so that the game doesn't do very well, it's going to do the exact opposite. In fact, they're honestly helping the game. And you want to know why what they're doing is actually helping, not hurting the game? A real simple concept to understand. The number one thing people hate is being told what to do with their money and their time. People do not want to be told how to spend their money, what to spend their money on, why they shouldn't do this or that or the other, or how to use their time, or the things they should buy or the things they shouldn't buy, not based on in terms of if they don't think it's worth it, but in terms of their personal feelings, or if it might offend them, or they want to indoctrinate them with their own thought process. No. What gamers want to do is they want to be able to spend their money how they see fit on whatever the hell they want to spend their money on, and use their time however they want to use their time. You guys as journalists need to learn that we don't care about your personal feelings. If you got upset or you got butthurt about something, we just want to know, hey, can you report on the game? Can you talk about the game? That's all we need from you. So maybe if you learn how to do your damn jobs instead of acting like a bunch of dancing bears at a circus with dunce hats on, maybe things would go a lot smoothly. So what you can probably guess is going to happen is while there's going to be a lot of people buy this game regardless, there's going to be a lot more additional sales because of these journalists who just cannot learn how to shut up and not talk about things that no one cares about. Why, you might ask? Well, simply because, one, gamers don't really care what these journalists say half the time. So whenever they hear them complain about something, they a lot of times just want to do the opposite, because it's like, they're more wrong than right, it seems like. Two, they don't respect what you journalists have to say because you clearly don't respect them. I mean, the funny part is that they try to tell you, oh, you're X, Y, and Z. You're the worst thing ever for playing certain games or liking certain games or characters. And yet, at the same time, after they've insulted you, they'll just tell you, hey, you need to reform to their ideology. That's like me saying, hey, they just slapped me in the face, punched me, ran me over. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm still going to turn to them and like and appreciate what they say, despite them what they just physically and verbally did to me. But nonetheless, yeah, they don't respect you. And three, they're probably going to do it just to spite you, because you know what? You know what they also love? Seeing you guys get mad. Because seeing you journalists get mad, grown-ass adults getting mad, is like watching a toddler throw a temper tantrum. It is very funny to watch. And seeing you guys get insensitized, because it's hilarious, because we know the game is pissing you off and you can't stand it. So it's going to be funny when it does really well and better because of you guys. So when you get mad at a game doing real well in its sales, look in the mirror and pat yourself on the back. You guys were a big part of it. Honestly, I don't think the developers should be too mad at you guys, because at the end of the day, you gave them so much more extra publicity and probably a lot more sales than they were originally going to have. So They honestly send you a thank you letter. That's the ultimate irony. In your little smear campaigns used to degrade the game and insult it, you ironically gave it more sales at the end of the day. Just like all the other things before, and this one's going to be no different. That's the part I find funny and ironic about it. So in the end, I can't really get mad at these journalists. I just find it funny and ironic in a way. And you know, when a game comes out and it does well, you're going to have them damage control because they're going to try to find any possible way to, you know, talk crap about it. Did it with the other things I mentioned in the past too. And then they're going to basically play the victim because they're really good at playing the victim here. They're masters of that, basically saying, oh, well, this isn't right. You know, it's because you gamers are mean and say hurtful things, ignoring the fact. Here's another thing I find funny. I find it funny how these journalists can say whatever they want, no matter what it is. I mean, they'll try to get people canceled and fired from their own job. Anything they want to say, they'll say that, insult people and their families and stuff. And that's perfectly fine. They'll never reference that in their articles when they make their point about these games, but they'll always reference all the hateful gamers. But the big difference here is the gamers, they're just normal people who play games. A lot of these people that write these articles, they're journalists. They're working for an actual job. So they have no professionalism, and they basically can say whatever they want. You know, let me know if at your job you can say like 10% of the things, let alone all the stuff they say unfiltered without any consequences. That's what I find sad. It's why nobody respects you. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately just funny how you tried your damnedest to ruin the games, and just like with the other games, and we're going to learn with this one, you do the exact opposite. You just basically gave this game all the free publicity, all the promotion, and you basically made people who may not even want to play the game in the first place actually try it out just to spite you, if nothing else. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be picking this game up in a few days. I can't wait to play it. I hope the story and characters come along for the ride, because I definitely enjoyed the gameplay. But we'll see just how good it is. But I don't think it's going to be a bad thing in terms of sales. I think it's going to do really well and a lot better. No thanks. Well, I guess, you know, thanks in a way to these journalists. I don't know if they'll find it thankful in a way, but nonetheless, as I always like to say, that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. Do you find it ironically enough that these journalists, when they try to smear these games and movies, ironically enough, just create more sales for it and create people wanted to buy them more who initially probably weren't going to play or watch it in the first place? And if you are somebody who likes StellarBlade, are you going to get it when it comes out, or are you going to wait for a sale? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.